Hi, welcome back to Designing with Reggie. As I promised, I taught you how to do the Japanese inspired advanced drape using one piece of fabric, and it's draped on the bias. And remember, I don't like draping on the bias because it wastes so much material. But when you drape on the bias, you get such a beautiful drape, such a beautiful cascade of ruffles. I mean, you can do just about anything. Your cows come out absolutely amazing when you drape on the bias. But once again, it uses a lot of fabric. If you drape on the bias, sometimes you use anywhere from 2 to sometimes 5 yards of material just because you're draping on the bias. But when it's all said and done, you may have used a yard. But that's the conundrum with draping on the bias. Now, I decided to use this material to finish that drape that we did. If you can see how blush it is, and it's got some sparklies in it. And this is two-way stretch. See, it doesn't really give that much here, but if you turn it this way, look, see that? See how much stretch that is? That's how you know it's two-way stretch, because it's supposed to stretch the exact same amount of time, but the exact amount of width, but it doesn't. But if you drape it on, or you pull on the bias, grab one end and the opposite end, you get even more stretch. And that's why draping on the bias does so great. So here is the finished dress. Now, I did the basic idea of what I taught you, but I made some changes. I decided after I draped it to cut this and make this asymmetrical. I also kept this cowl drape around, as you can see. I just wrapped it around the back and pinned it here and cut this off. But I still got the drape that I was telling you. Also, I ruched the sides because I thought it would kind of help a little bit with giving you a little bit of volume, because you can pull this up and create a totally different look and totally different dress. Now remember, I said the only seam was this. This was the only seam in the dress. However, this was supposed to be sewn here, and then I was supposed to tuck this in so you couldn't see where the seam was, because the cowl was going to hide the seam here. So you didn't even need to sew that. But I decided to add some horsehair. This is horsehair. Let me get a sample of it so you can see what I'm talking about when I say horsehair. This is horsehair. It's to stiffen the fabric and also give it some structure and some architectural detail. But look at how, by draping on the bias, look how this just cascades around and goes, all the way to the back. But the interesting thing want to bring out is you can drape using non-stretch material, but when you drape on the bias, you're going to get a drape, but you're going to have to hand cowl every single cowl. You have to go through and do just like that, every single cowl, and make sure that the cowl falls exactly like you want it. So you would have to go through every single cowl and drape it. See, just like that. Every single one. Whereas if you drape on the bias, all you have to do is wrap the fabric around and the fabric falls into the cowls. So I just decided to add this and leave it open And remember I said in here, don't go past your tape right here, your waist tape. I went a little bit below, but that's okay because once again, it's gonna be covered. So this is the finished piece. You started with just the basic drape and I showed you how to drape it. And now this is the finished product. I hope you like it. Happy designing and I'll see you tomorrow.